What's good, everybody? Welcome to Front Runner Podcast Collective, where we talk like friends, argue like cousins, and somehow still leave a little smarter. I am Vince, your host, your occasional therapist, and your favorite bad influence. We, here on Front Runner Podcast Collective, unpack the wins, the mess, and the middle ground with jokes, receipts, and maybe a hot take that ages badly. We got Soraya. She's going to be producing the show. She will be providing some notes and some timely information for us so we can stay on time, on target, and drop the occasional gem to keep everybody honest. It's just going to make us better people in the process. So we have a lot to get to today. We're going to touch on the gambling ring that involves one Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier. We're not going to get into it to completion or what have you, because there's so much of the story that still hasn't been fleshed out and what have you. I think in the coming days, in the coming weeks, we'll know more, and then we'll be better prepared to talk about it. But we're going to hit some of the major points. I'll give you my thoughts on it and let you know where we go from here and what to look for, because that's the most important thing. And then we're going to talk about basketball. You know, the actual thing that we come here to talk about on Tuesdays and Fridays. We will talk about Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and his opening week. We're going to talk about the Orlando Magic. We are going to talk about Wemby's performance on his opening night, and a couple other teams from there. So that is the highlights of where we are. So on this Feel Good Friday, let's get into it. So we're going to start with the Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier situation. They were arrested in connection to probes. Billups in a mafia adjacent rigged poker scheme. Rozier accused of separate insider info betting setups. And this is by the AP, Reuters, and also ABC News. The feds described a teched out poker room, shufflers, x-ray tables, face cards, luring wells, plus prop bets timed to early exits. It's a mess. So what I will say about this as we get into it is that, first of all, one of the FBI, I think this was Kash Patel, he says, fraud is mind-boggling. 2 NBA players named in the headline of 30 plus arrests. So we had actual real mafia folks allegedly connected to this situation with Chauncey Billups and also Terry Rozier. The whole deal with Billups being arrested, one, he is the coach of the Portland Trail Blazers. He's been put on immediate leave. He's been charged with conspiracy tied to crime families, per the feds and ABC News, allegedly. You gotta say allegedly. And then we also have Terry Rozier, who allegedly inside tip planned early exits, fueling prop bets. So basically what that means is that Terry Rozier got with some homeboys and said, hey, I'm going to feign an injury or not feeling well. And if I was supposed to hit 2 3-point shots in this game, obviously I won't be able to do that. So, and this is all alleged. We don't, it hasn't been proven in the court of law yet. So got to keep that on the, get our T's crossed and our I's dotted on this situation. The main thing about this is that, first of all, the poker scheme allegedly netted $7+ million. The bets tied to insider info were approximately around 200 to 250K wagered on one Rozier episode. There were other charges like wire fraud, money laundering. So So I mean, it's an absolute mess. This is definitely something that the NBA would not want to be tied to. The poker thing was like crazy. It was some stuff out of James Bond. They had rigged shufflers, X-ray tables, electric trip trays. I think I probably saw this on like Ocean's 11 or 12 or whatever. Now, a couple comments from some of the coaches around the league. Steve Kerr of the Golden State Warriors: players get harassed by angry bettors. Team briefs rules routinely on this matter. Rick Carlisle of the Indiana Pacers says it's shocking. He reached out to Billups coaches, Billups coaches. The association supports due process. Obviously, again, we don't know if this man is, we have to presume innocence and got to be proven guilty. Our guy David Adelman from the Denver Nuggets checks in. Education trumps everything. This ecosystem isn't going away. He is right about that. The thing about it is that gambling is something that has been going on for ages. Whether it was a back alley type of situation, somebody running numbers, or going to Vegas to place a bet, now you can do it on your phone. We can't do it here in the state of California, we're still upset about that. It's just something that is just so prevalent now. And the explosion of fantasy sports kind of also led into this because there's money involved in that. You have something that is in legalized proximity of the games. And then you have things like the prop bet explosion, where you can randomly pick a guy who plays somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes in an NBA basketball game, and you can go over under on how many rebounds he can get or whatever the case may be. Understand that this situation is going to be a delicate balancing act for the NBA and for all major sports. The one thing about this is that when you get the feds involved, because obviously we got to because sports needs to be, it's never going to be pure, but the actual competition needs to be pure. People cannot go on, even though we have our conspiracy theories on certain games and certain outcomes and all of that. The difference between the WWE and the NBA is that it's not scripted. Anything could happen. That's what they sell you on. That's one of the reasons why the NBA and also the NFL and all other major sports, they get live media compensation. And what I mean by that is that these networks are paying billions of dollars to put this on TV. And then the sponsors pay billions of dollars to advertise on this product that we don't know the outcome of. Now we are having things that are telling us that, well, maybe we do know the outcome. And that's where the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, and also the National Hockey League, they can't have it. They can't have where their business model is under attack for being rigged, or somebody's gaming the system, so we can have a pretty much a presumed outcome. Vegas can't have it either. You think about it. If you can get a decent amount of people, and you knew for a fact that like Luka was going to score over 36 points tonight. Okay, let's say you go in with 10 grand, and then somebody goes to another casino with 10 grand, and let's say you hit a lot of the Vegas casinos, and all of you guys are putting like 10 grand in. That's a big chunk of change that's getting taking a bite out of Vegas. And obviously some of these hotels are owned by other hotels, and there is a conglomerate. So That's the reason why this is such a big deal. It's a big deal for sports because of the fact that we have to have the appeal to the audience that what you're seeing could be a random event, that something spectacular can happen, a team that is not supposed to win can win, a guy could go off for a certain amount of points that we weren't expecting because he wasn't like the number one or number two option on the team. Sports gives us the unexpected, and as soon as you can go ahead and put like within a 10 percentile that is not random anymore, you kind of lost the appeal. And I wonder if the money and the TV rights would go down from there. The NFL is definitely not having this. So where are we right now? First of all, we got to make sure that we get the due process taken care of. Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier, along with Damon Jones, who is a ex-NBA player. He's also an ex-assistant coach in the league. He was also indicted on these charges as well. So we make sure they get their due process. And we also got to make sure that transparency is fixed. Actionables, monitor indictments. You know what I'm saying? We got to make sure that everybody stays on top of this so we be knowledgeable of what's going on. And then what else has to happen is that the league itself, Adam Silver himself, needs to come out and have a strong message about this is something that was a isolated incident and we're going to move on from here, and we're not going to have any of this situation get tolerated. And I will say this, if for some reason Chauncey Billups and or Terry Rozier is the charges are true, they're gone. It's a lifetime ban. You will not have anything to do with the NBA whatsoever. Keep in mind, Chauncey Billups is a Hall of Famer. He would be able to go back to Detroit when they would have like alumni things and or like let's say corporate events would happen and you want to bring in like your past stars. Chauncey Billups would have been part of that when he wasn't coaching, and he would get an appearance fee from the organization to be there. Well, guess what he can't do if for some reason he gets a lifetime ban? He can't be around any NBA organization whatsoever. It's done. You might be able to see him at like a card expo, kind of like we used to see Pete Rose with his nonsense, but Chauncey Billups would never be part of the NBA community ever again and be accepted. So yeah, can he have boys in the NBA and stuff like that? He just could not go to any NBA event whatsoever. Which sucks, because if you have a celebration or like an anniversary of those Detroit Pistons teams that won championships, guess who cannot be in attendance? Now, Terry Rozier, he's kind of bounced around the league. He played for the Celtics, he played for the Charlotte Hornets, and the Miami Heat. All three of his stops, I think probably the most celebrated stop was in Boston. Now, they didn't win a championship while he was there, so we don't have to worry about those type of things. But we've seen players who have not won championships. We've seen players who just became really ingrained in the team's facilities or whatever the case may be. Like Brian Scalabrine, he won a title, but he was like a bit player on the team. Now he's the TV analyst. He also does a lot of corporate events for the Celtics. He's a beloved member of the organization. If you go down any street in Boston, oh, that's our guy Scal. He keeps it real about the Celtics. That's the sentiment around him. When you get put in a situation with this gambling stuff, and again, I will say allegedly until we know you lost all your privileges for being around the team or whatever the case may be. So it's a big deal for a lot of reasons. It's a big deal to the NBA as a whole. It's a big deal to teams and who and what they can bring back into the organization down the road. It is vital that the NBA gets a hold of this situation, this matter, before it gets out of hand. So we'll leave it at that. Happy Friday to y'all. The next topic that we want to talk about is a little bit happier topic. So the Oklahoma City Thunder, the defending reigning NBA champions, have played 2 games. One on opening night in a double overtime thriller, which I watched and enjoyed immensely. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was going up against the Houston Rockets, whose starting lineup consisted of Steven Adams, Alperen Sengun, Jabari Smith Jr., Kevin Durant, and Amen Thompson. And you say, well, okay, why are we talking about the starting lineup of the Houston Rockets? Notice all the people that I mentioned. Literally only one of them is under 6'10". Now Kevin Durant parades around here like he's 6'10". We know that dude is 7 feet tall. Jabari Smith Jr. is about 7 feet tall. Alperen Sengun is 7 feet tall. And Steven Adams is like 7'2", 7'3". So the average height of the starting lineup of the Houston Rockets on opening night was 6'10". And Shea Gilgeous-Alexander said, "Hey man, we gotta go to war in the land of giants right now, because we gotta get this busy. Well, take care of this on a real level." They went to double overtime in that game. Shea scored 40 points in that game. Actually, what do you got? 40. And then last night, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander went to Gainbridge, the scene of the crime, where they beat the Indiana Pacers and they took their heart out of their body and became the NBA champions, right? And they played a double overtime game against the Pacers. Now, the one thing that I will say about the Pacers, and I think we talked about this beforehand, Rick Carlisle is not, just because Tyrese Halliburton is hurt, just because TJ McConnell is dealing with a hamstring issue, he is not going to give up on this season. Now, I don't know what their record is going to end up being, but they gave the defending champs, even though they were down players, they gave the defending champs all they could handle. But just like in Game 7, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was there. He tore off the scab clean off. He scored 55 points in 2 overtimes. And the look on the face that said, "You thought last June was the peak?" Nah. I got plenty more where that came from. So he scored 90 points in 2 games with Jalen Williams being out. Jalen Williams is dealing with rehab on his surgically repaired wrist. We got an update over this last week. Rehab is going well. The time frame has still not been set on when he's going to be able to return, but they think it's going to be sooner rather than later. But we still don't have a timetable on that situation. We are efforting to get that. But no matter, once you have the MVP of the league just scoring, 40 and 55 points, it is excellent when you got this guy. Now so we gotta get into all the numbers and what he actually did, but the actual end of the score was 141 to 135 in 2 overtimes. He scored 55 points in 45 minutes, so he scored more than 1 point per minute. Now, he wasn't the only one that showed up in this game. Benedict Mathurin, who we asked, was he going to be able to step up? He scored 36 points in this effort, while Halliburton is recovering from Achilles surgery. He did his best Jimmy Butler impersonation. He had 17 free throw attempts. That's very good. 17 free throw attempts. Chet Holmgren did yeoman's work. He had 12 rebounds. He had 3 blocks. Now he's struggling from shooting from deep. He was 0-6 from the land of 3, but the 12 rebounds and 3 blocks go a long way. And if you got Shea on your squad and he's scoring more than 33% of your points, it's all good. Pascal Siakam, who is now the de facto leader of the Pacers, 32 points, 15 rebounds, and 44 minutes. So my guy was just doing it. And this is the reason why they stayed in the game. But we need to get to SGA. I told you a moment ago that Benedict Mathurin shot 17 free throws. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander shot 26 free throws in 45 minutes. 26 free throws. He made 23 of 26. He controlled the plays. He drew contact on command. It was just like Pavlov's dog. As soon as he did an up fake, the defender was in the air. He bumped, fell back, and threw up a shot, and he was at the free throw line chilling. A couple of the unsung heroes for the OKC Thunder. I'm going to tell you right now, Sam Presti also needs to get like an MVP award. AJ Mitchell, and you go, well, who's that? Exactly, right? AJ Mitchell, another Sam Presti draft pick, not in the first round. No. A second rounder. 26 points, 9 of 19 shooting. He was quietly essential for the second unit. OKC as a whole had 50 free throw attempts, and they made 45 of the 50. 90% from the free throw line in this double overtime thriller. And you would ask yourself, how many turnovers happened in this game? Because early in the season, it's a turnover fest because you're working out the kinks, you're getting your rhythm back, you want to have your continuity, but it takes a little while. OKC only had 9 turnovers in a double overtime game. Now Indiana wasn't too far behind them. They had 14. So literally, this was a well-played game. This wasn't just a haphazard mess. This was a really well-played game. Holmgren and Hartenstein combined for 26 rebounds. All I know is that if you're looking at Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and wondering if he's going to rest on his laurels for this season, and did he have the appetite to go after like a second MVP? Well, we got a resounding answer, and that answer is emphatically yes. I am still hungry for more hardware in my trophy case at home. I might have to build a new trophy case to put in the other awards that I want to win. 55 points. I don't care if it's 2 overtimes, 4 overtimes. That's a lot of points. And 26 free throws is ridiculous. Couple of trends that we kind of need to get a hold of. SGA's shot profile. He had 19 paint touches, 12 mid-range, and 2 shots from deep. We talked about his free throw antics. He had a usage rate in this game of 38%. Well, now he needed to, because obviously with Jalen Williams out, he really is the point guard. He's the initiator. There's nobody really else that does it. Oh, Holmgren, opponent shot 4 of 12 inside 6 feet against Chet Holmgren. Now, that sounds excellent, right? We're going to get to a story later on that's going to dwarf that, but that is excellent. You're shooting 33% inside of 6 feet against Chet. That is outstanding rim protection. Now, our guy Siakam, he did all his work in the mid post. He shot 58%, heavy left block bias. So he did all his work about 13 to 17 feet. So what does this all mean? Basically this: Shea is about that life. He didn't just torch the Pacers. He rewrote the language of control. In a season opener that bled finals flashbacks, he carried the weight of the whistles and the whispers with being that guy. Bottom line is that for a season to start off like this for the OKC Thunder, complacency will not be tolerated in OKC. There's two reasons why. One, Mark Daigneault is an excellent coach. And two, give credit to the team. Give credit to the current roster of the Oklahoma City Thunder, who bring back a lot of pieces, practically all the pieces from that championship. And here's the thing: those guys are the most professional, unassuming. Their egos seem to be in check. There's a lot of camaraderie between all the guys. And a lot of people thought it was fake last year when they would do the team interview. Usually after the game, you got the one person talking to Malika Andrews or whoever is doing the sideline reporting at the time. And OKC as a team would show up. Well, guess what? This year they're doing the exact same thing. They're all there. Now, sometimes they're having fun if it's with their local dude, as far as that's concerned. They put the towels on his head and everything like that and kind of bring him into the mix. But the results and the tenor and the tone staying the same in OKC. We are not here for a one-time trip down the road. No, we are here for multiple. And if you're going to win against OKC, you got to value the basketball. You got to understand and be disciplined when Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is in his bag. And it's really hard to do because he is as physical of a guy for somebody who doesn't look physical, because he looks very sinewy on the court and he moves so smoothly. He reminds me, he looks very balletic when he is on the court, and he's moving in and out of cuts and getting into his areas where he likes to go ahead and do his damage. And as soon as you think you have him bottled up, he can go ahead and give you that chicken wing or give you his shoulder, put it squarely into your chest, and then bounce off you and throw up like a 17-footer. The dude is great. But not only is he great in talent, he's great in discipline, and he's great in understanding what it takes to have repeat success in this league. The 55 points is not an accident. This is a guy who consistently scored over 30 almost every single game last season. I believe that Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, he played in 74 games last year. He had 65 games where he was over 30 points or more. Every eye in the arena follows Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Legends don't chase validation. The Thunder are not coasting. They're recalibrating to defend their championship. And I'm not going to go and say this is like the new version of the Chicago Bulls, who put three peats back to back. This is a young team who's getting better. Chet is going to get better. Like we said before, Shea is hitting his prime. Jalen Williams is going to get better. We didn't even talk about or discuss Case and Wallace. They have pieces who aren't playing right now, who will contribute to this team before the season is done. Oh, and they still got like 12 first round draft picks and something like 20 plus second round picks. By the way, that's what AJ Mitchell was. He was a second round draft pick, and that dude put up 26 points. Another plum draft pick for Sam Presti. So they drafted well. They find the right type of personnel. The coach teaches discipline, and there's actual way of doing things in Oklahoma City. They're all striving for excellence, whether it's excellence in their individual goals or also that can be blended in with their team goals. It's a wagon right now in Oklahoma City, and it's a wagon on fire. So careful for those who try to get in front of that wagon. But we might find one guy. And that leads us to our next story. And before we get to that next story, I do want to make mention. We did a preview show on Tuesday. It is up right now. Also, with that preview is a 10,287 word document that accompanies that preview podcast. Preview podcast is about 2 hours and 30 minutes long, so you needed a blog that goes along with it. I'm telling you, it is well worth it. If you have to consume it in like chunks, I understand, but it's well worth it because it gives you a real snapshot into some of the teams that we're talking about right now, and some of the teams that we really believe are going to have a lot to say about how this whole story ends at the end of this season. So it is, to me, it's a masterpiece. To me, it's some of the best work that we've done, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. Now, getting to that guy who wants to step in front of that wagon that's on fire. Did anybody check out Wemby's opening night? Now, here's the best part about this. Victor Wembanyama went into Dallas, Texas. So that means it was Cooper Flagg's opening night as well. Victor did not care at all about Cooper Flagg playing his first NBA game. He's like, I've been there, done that. It's time for me to move on to something else. Victor Wembanyama in his first game this year. Now, mind you, this is a guy who had to abruptly stop playing basketball last year because of a blood clot issue. He had deep vein thrombosis. There was a scare for a little while, and then he got cleared. Victor Wembanyama dropped 40 points. Now, he didn't drop just 40 points on Dallas. Let me tell you who was guarding him at different intervals of time in that game. He did it against Derek Lively. Now, Derek Lively, if you remember when Dallas had Luka and they were in the finals, one of the things that a lot of people were impressed with was the rim protection that Derek Lively gave to the Dallas Mavericks. Another guy who guarded Wembanyama in that game was one Anthony Davis. Now, Anthony Davis hasn't won a Defensive Player of the Year, but he has been all defense for his team on several occasions, and he was no match for what Victor wanted to do, and we'll get into all of what Victor did in 1 second. I'm going to reiterate now, Wemby isn't becoming anything. Okay? Let me say that one more time. It's inevitable, folks. The science experimental stuff that he was doing the first couple years, that's all gone. Victor Wembanyama has arrived. You can't scout inevitability. You're just a witness to it. He just turned 21. He's in his third season. He has adversity behind him. He went out and trained with Shaolin monks
over the summertime to work on his discipline. Everything is going to run through him, and we're going to talk about how it did. So they beat the Mavericks 125-92. Victor scored 40, but it wasn't that he scored 40. Check out this stat line. He was 15 of 21 from the field. Free throws, he shot 11 of them. He made 9. 15 rebounds, 3 blocks, and his box plus minus was a positive 31. Not bad. Not bad for a guy who's just trying to figure it out, right? But we won't stop there. The Rookie of the Year last year, Stephon Castle, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. De'Aaron Fox did not play in this game. So, who started at point guard? Stephon Castle. He was a plus 24 in his box plus minus. Now, Flag, who is our choice for Rookie of the Year. We're going to get to a couple other rookies who have excellent games, but he scored 10 points, 10 rebounds. He didn't have any assists, and he was playing the point guard position, and I'm going to get to that momentarily. I got to have a real strong talk with our guy, Jason Kidd, who is the Mavericks head coach. AD put up a pretty good game. He had 22 points, 8 rebounds, but he had no answers defensively for what was coming at him. Now, the Mavericks did work competitive in the first quarter. They led in the first quarter, after the first quarter, 29-28. The Spurs from that point on outscored the Mavericks 97-63. Wemby dominated this game. Now, how did he do it? Primary actions that he used was pick and roll and short rolls. Castle hit Wemby on early steals because he was huffing it down the court. The Spurs scored 31 fast break points in that night. Now, here's the best part. They scored 68 points in the paint. That's where Wemby did a lot of his damage. And the reason why I bring that up is because last season, Wemby was shooting a bunch of threes, to see what the range was. Now, he did hit some threes in this game, but a lot of Wemby's damage against the Dallas Mavericks came in the paint. He dunked on a lot of people that night. There were windmill dunks. There were like Plastic Man extension dunks. There were just hammer dunks that he threw down on people. It was bad. Now, the ball movement for our Spurs was 24 assists on 50 made buckets. So it's 1-to-2 ratio, not bad. Their defense forced 16 turnovers. They scored 19 points off those turnovers. And Dallas offense stalled. AD and Clay, they isolated, meaning they were trying to do ISO brawl. That didn't work because just the defense just loaded up on them. They didn't have a lot of movement as far as concerned. I don't know if they were trying to keep things simple for Cooper Flag or whatever it was, but they needed to move around. They needed not be as stationary as they were. Because here's the other thing. Luka's not there, so you don't have to have people married to the corners. And you need to manufacture points, especially when you're going up against somebody like Victor. Victor is going to, in a sense, shut down the paint area. You're going to have to make sure that you are finding little crevices within the defense to get your shots off. And this whole, okay, I'm married to this corner and what have you. No, you got to slash. You got to move around. You got to go through picks and what have you to go ahead and get buckets, especially against Victor Wembanyama. Now, the Spurs, they had Castle, like we said, he was point guard. He orchestrated the offense like a veteran. I know I said that he was going to have to really kind of change positions, and I still believe that. This is one game. I'm not sitting here, changing everything that I thought after one game. No. I'm just saying that he is capable of running an offense. He looked like a veteran. He pushed early offense after every rebound. And he had support. Vassell was out there doing it. Our guy, our rookie, Dylan Harper, was out there dunking on people. It was a glorious situation. They forced the Mavs into late clock isolations with no structure or no rhythm because the defense was suffocating. San Antonio was locking people up on the perimeter. Now that had a lot to do who and what Stephon Castle is. Stephon Castle was getting it done on multiple levels, not only being the point guard, but being the point of attack defender. Some of the statistics from this game is mind-blowing. The Mavericks shot 37% from the field, where the Spurs shot 57% from the field. The paint points, we told you that the Spurs had 68. The Mavericks had 26 points in the paint. This is a team that fields Derek Lively Jr., who is a absolute just perennial lob threat, and Anthony Davis. You know what I'm saying? And then you got PJ Washington, so you got others. Cooper Flagg likes to get to the rim. So for them to only have 26 paint points, that tells you right what you need to know. That Victor Wembanyama was controlling that paint like a sheriff. And I'm talking about an ornery sheriff. He was not playing no games. So with all that being said, what do we need to take away from this game, this opening game? One, Wembanyama has laid claim to, I'm here. Meaning, we are going to start to see the takeover. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know if it's definitely not going to take 3 years. But by the end of this season, is Victor Wembanyama going to be top 5 in MVP votes? Could be. Could the Spurs make a playoff run where they're not just a play-in team, they're actually part of the top 6? Maybe. And here's the scariest part. He scored 40 points, and he did a lot of his damage inside the painted area against really good defenders. Now, I love Jokic. I think Jokic is phenomenal. But Jokic is not a great defender. And there are not some of his toughest battles, as far as the people who are going to defend him well. Well, he just played one of them. Now, he'll have to play Rudy Gobert, who's also in the West. Okay. But for every Rudy Gobert, there's going to be 2 or 3 teams like the New Orleans Pelicans where they're not going to offer any rim resistance. Do we think Sacramento is going to offer rim resistance to Victor Wembanyama? Yeah, he'll get a challenge against Utah. He will probably get a challenge from Houston. OKC is going to try to smother his guards as far as that's concerned, so he might have to do a lot of his damage, bringing up the ball and then getting into the paint himself. But there's 15 teams in the West. You can probably count on one hand how many teams really have actual excellent rim protection. That means that there's 10 other teams or 9 other teams that Victor Wembanyama is going to go up against, where he's just going to have a feast, a frenzy of just dunks and layups and just easy buckets because he's 7'7". Dominance is coming, and it's coming in the form of they list him at 7'5". Okay, I guess we'll go with that. We don't actually believe that, but a 7'5" alien who now I think really understands who he is, and he's still growing into who he is, which is even more dangerous. Because he can hit the 3. There were dribbling expositions in that game that you just sit there and you go, oh my God, that is 7'5" doing that. with an 8-foot wingspan. Just absolutely nuts. Victor is here. Defensive player of the year, no doubt. My question is he first team all NBA? And how high does he finish in the MVP voting this year? And I don't think I'm speaking out of school at all. I don't think there's any hyperbole about what I'm talking about. I think we are now seeing the emergence of a absolutely supernova star. And there was never a doubt, but it's so cool to see it when it really starts to go, okay, I'm going to assert my dominance. And that is what we saw with Victor that night. So do you believe in magic? Do y'all believe in magic? Because the Orlando Magic beat the Miami Heat 125-121 in their opener. And it was all the things you wanted to see. Paolo Banchero was out there with Franz Wagner doing their thing. They both scored 24 points. But FRPC favorite Desmond Bane was also out there doing big things. Jalen Suggs was back from knee surgery. All is well. My man had a steal and a layup to flip the momentum. He also had a pull-up dagger with 58 seconds left. That was the difference between the game. So let's get into this a little bit. It was all, like I said, it was all the things you wanted to see. Paulo and Franz carrying the water. Bane chipping in with 23, shooting 3 of 7 from three-point land. What else is new? Jalen Suggs being who Jalen Suggs is, which is a point of attack defender at the highest level, of the highest order. And Miami didn't know what hit them. They had this game. They were up by 9 late in the fourth quarter, and the Magic put it on them. Now, Norman Powell, who came over from the Clippers, had an excellent game. He scored 28 points. Our guy, Bam Adebayo, had 15 points and 12 rebounds. He did his thing. And Davion Mitchell started for the Heat, which is crazy. 16 points, 12 assists. So there was some good nights had for a lot of players. But my whole thing is that when Desmond Bane is going to have a true shooting percentage of 65% in his first game out with the Orlando Magic, I think the proof of concept of this actually working and getting actual shooters in the building in Orlando was a good thing. Say, Vince, we knew it was going to be a good thing. We've been talking about them getting outside shooting for the last couple of years. Well, it's a difference between getting outside shooting and getting somebody who is one of the best outside shooters, one of the best movement shooters in the game. That's what Desmond Bane is, and that's what he's bringing to the table for the Orlando Magic. Couple of things that kind of drew my attention. Banchero attacked mismatches all night long. He had 12 free throw attempts, and anytime Miami got a switch where they had a smaller person on Banchero, he punished them. Absolutely punished them. And our guy, Franz Wagner, he was slipping and sliding through screens and cuts and hitting floaters, and he was punishing over rotations. So the great thing about having Desmond Bane on the court, right, is that, okay, you got to account for him. And if you account for him and he's not a unwilling passer, he'll go ahead and make the right play. If he's going to make the right play, that means now your defense is overextended, and it's going to be it's not going to be the first pass, it's going to be the second pass. So what I'm talking about is that, like, let's say in a screen pick and roll, right? He comes off the screen, he gets the ball. Okay, now the defense is loaded towards him. He might have tracker his guy. If the pass is skipped over to the other side of the court, the weak side of the court, now you got to go ahead and adjust your defense there. And if there's a quick pass to the corner, you're not going to have a lot of times to adjust. And then that's also going to give opportunities for people to make cuts into the lane, shoot a pass right there, and then hey, it's just gonna work. So Suggs did his thing. Like I said, the defense towards the end was amazing. He changed the tenor of that game, Suggs did, with his passion, with his aggressiveness. He forced 2 turnovers on Norman Powell himself towards the end of the game. Wendell Carter is actually healthy right now. His verticality disrupted Mitchell and Mitchell Adebayo lob sets, which is great. The final 8 minutes, this is what Miami did. 7 turnovers, 2 offensive fouls, 0 rhythm. Obviously, they were out without Tyler Hero. That makes a complete difference in what you're doing as a team. And this is why our guy Davion Mitchell was out there starting. Now, the Suggs-Boncaro pick and roll, the 1-4 actions generated constant rim protection. They shot Orlando 35 free throws. The second chance execution, the Magic had 18 second chance points. That was all Carter and Bataze. They were relentless on the boards. Late clock composure. They had 3 straight fourth quarter scores via drives or short rolls, because you know what? When you're running your offense and it's all clicking, guess what? You don't feel pressure. You don't even see the clock. Oh, clock has 5 seconds on it. Don't worry about it. It's good. So if Paolo Banchero is going to shoot 12 free throws in the game, and then his short roll reads, he had 3 assists with solid kickouts to the shooters. And obviously, he going to feel more emboldened to do that if you got Desmond Bane lurking out there. They switched effectively onto guards, especially onto Mitchell. And they definitely kept it calm in the fourth quarter, even though they were down by like 9. The co-star was 8 of 13 from the field with 4 assists, and he scored duplicate 24 points. He gave them just balanced pacing, controlled left to right drives, late skip passes, punished Miami's rotations, and his defense anticipation was excellent. He had 2 steals in the game. He had 1 deflection and saving a baseline layup. So our guy Wagner wasn't flashy last night, but his consistency was punctuated by the win. And then again, Desmond Bane, what can you say, man? You get 23 points in your debut. You are +8 in clutch minutes. You know what I'm saying? So you were out there getting it done when the team needed you most. Defensively, you held Powell to Norman Powell, who is an absolute flamethrower if you let him. He was 3 of 9 in the second half. And then you got solid production from Carter and Suggs. Suggs scored 14 points on 6 of 7 shooting. He had 2 clutch plays that defined the fourth quarter. We talked about those, the defensive stops that he had. We also want to say that Orlando was not the same last year when Suggs went out. When he had the knee surgery, it was almost like the heart of the team was just ripped out of his body, and they could not recover last year. And if Wendell Carter Jr. is going to give you a game where, yeah, it wasn't spectacular, but 9 points, 8 rebounds, but here's the key factor to this. He had 5 offensive boards. So that means 5 offensive second chances. So you don't need a ton, but if you can get the dirty work done with the 5 offensive boards, it's all good in the hood. Orlando looked older than his years in that game. The Magic didn't win with highlights. They won with habits. Their closing execution wasn't luck. It was by design. When your young team starts flinching, when they just stop doing that, when they are just, when you feel confident in yourself, like if for some reason, and it can happen with one person, and I'm not saying Desmond Bane is the alpha and the omega of everything, but when you get somebody like Desmond Bane, he can give you a confidence factor. He can give you a swagger where it's like, you know what, man, we're good. We're good. Just play our game. We'll be okay. play our game, play our rhythm, play our tempo. We don't have to worry about what they're doing. Let's just worry about what we're doing, and it just allows you to flow. It allows everything just to move in a crispy way where you're sitting there and you're just in that flow state, and it doesn't matter what's going on. That's where Orlando was against the Miami Heat. Now, speaking of somebody who was in a flow state, the Philadelphia 76ers played the Boston Celtics, okay? Now, did Joel Embiid play? Yes, he did. Did he play a lot? No, he didn't. But we talked about specifically, I think, in the last pod, we talked about the backcourt and the future of the 76ers. It's like, listen, don't worry about, yeah, you might go through some downtimes because, you know, Embiid's impact is just not going to be what it was. And we'll get to that momentarily. But, man, kudos to Tyrese Maxey and kudos to rookie VJ Edgecombe because he looked awesome in this game. Philadelphia ends up winning 117-116. Joel Embiid shot 1 of 9 from the court. He leaned into being a decoy duty, and the Sixers won anyway. I mean, we need to get to this because it was crazy. So, how do I want to contextualize this? One of the hardest places for somebody coming into the NBA is the guard position, because the guard position, there's so many great ones in the league. You know, you got to do stuff on defense. You know, you got to be able to assert yourself on offense. It's just hard for guys to come in and just like get it right away. And I'm not saying that every game is going to be like this for Edgecombe or whatever, but man, did he show us what he was all about? Because my God, he scored 14 points in the first quarter. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, dude. Some of the details that we really need to talk about, there was a stretch where Maxey hit 3 quick threes at the 10:49 mark, the 10:33 mark, and the 9:43 mark. This dude hit 3 threes. And then following that up, at the 8:58 mark and the 8:26 mark, Edgecombe hits a transition layup and then hits a trail 3. And TD Garden goes quiet. 3s over 2. So here's the thing. Boston, who is absolutely a 3-point shooting team, right? Philadelphia made 16 threes. 16 of them. Maxey had 15 in the fourth quarter. Edgecombe had 9 in the fourth quarter. It was an onslaught. It was just an onslaught. So this is what we talked about what Maxey and Edgecombe did in the fourth quarter. Oubre hit a go-ahead 3. Grimes hit free throws, and then Edgecombe hit 2 free throws to go ahead and put them up for good. And again, here you are in a flow state. Early offensive threes, they had drag ghost screens in the pull-up threes. 43-point attempts. You would think that was Boston. No. That was not Boston. That was Philadelphia. Now, the rim protection, not as great. Keita had 17 on 7 of 8. They spammed the empty corner pick and roll, spam pick and roll. They hit lobs. They hit 45 cuts. White was an absolute engine. Free throw manufacturing was on point. Rescreen craft, he was just absolutely a monster. But man, they just could not take the onslaught of what the Philadelphia 76ers was going to bring them. Again, Maxey had 40 points. He was 13 of 24 from the field. He was 7 of 9 from 3-point land. This was elite pull-up three. Hesitation burst. Absolutely. He had relocation on lock. And late clock heroics. This was Tyrese Maxey in a nutshell. Did he play defense? Yeah, because he was on the ball, hawking, getting deflections and things of that nature the whole game. VJ Edgecombe, for his trouble, this is his first game out, right? You're playing in TD Garden, right? It's not an easy place to play, especially for the Philadelphia 76ers. 34 points, 13 of 26 shooting, 5 of 13 from 3. Transition assassin. He hit trail threes. He was an absolute menace when he slashed to the court. His body control is ridiculous. It is absolutely stupid. He can switch from 2 to 4 on guys just on his athleticism. And he does gamble a little bit. Now, I know you don't have a scouting report on him. You didn't understand his anticipation of passes and all that. And obviously, as we start to go further into the NBA season, people are going to have a scouting report on him and say, okay, we got to be a little more cautious with the basketball when we're throwing it across the court. But his athleticism allows him to get to things that not a lot of people can get to. Quentin Grimes had 18 points, 5 assists. He was basically all the pick and rolls that were done. His physical nature as a chaser through those pick and rolls was absolutely astounding. He took late on-ball reps against Pritchard because Pritchard was trying to get at him. In short memory, after his turnovers, he made the game-winning free throws to go ahead and seal that victory. So shouts out to Quentin Grimes and what he did. But Edgecombe was the story. Now, Maxey was the story, but what I'm saying is Edgecombe was the story because you're a rookie, you come in, you score 34 points. By the way, it's a Sixers debut franchise record. Third most in an NBA debut across the board. And the 14 points in the first quarter, that's also a debut record NBA-wise, not just Philadelphia 76ers-wise. So, my man chose violence right away. When he woke up and had his omelet for breakfast, he had his sausage and his orange juice. He was like, I'm going to come out here to the TD Garden and I am going to stand on lucky and I'm going to stand on business and I'm going to show the Boston Celtics what I'm all about. So, there is that. Now, we will get to Embiid later on. As far as that's concerned, it did not look great. He was 1 of 9. He scored 4 points. I don't really want to, it's one game. He didn't move very well. I will say that. But I would rather talk about Maxey and how they got down with this situation. You know what I'm saying? I think what Maxey did in this game, especially knowing that you're going up against your most hated rivals. That Philadelphia 76ers Boston Celtics thing is real. It's not one of those things where it's manufactured, rivalry week and all this other stuff. No, that's a real rivalry. These two teams do not like each other. Now, obviously, the stars on the marquee are different because Jason Tatum is out with the Achilles injury. You know what I'm saying? Jaylen Brown did play, which, we didn't think he was going to, but he did play. He wasn't going to miss this game. But the Celtics don't have the front court to deal with teams. And here's the thing. When you have an uber athlete like VJ Edgecombe and you have Tyrese Maxey who's challenging the paint on every occurrence that they can, and then they're kicking out to 3-point shooters that's going to be wide open because the Celtics defense collapsed towards the paint, it's going to be that way. And when you see Maxey 7 of 9 from 3-point land, and his pull-up 3 game was off the charts, And there was nobody who could stay in front of him because his hesitation to burst weapon was so crazy. He slowed down. There was 3 times in a row in the third quarter where he just kind of came down, and he's not going fast. And then all of a sudden, it was literally like a gun had went off, and he is a blur, and he's past the defender who's guarding him, and the secondary defender that is trying to squeeze off the lane. Oh no, I'm through that. I'm getting to the rim at this point. Oh, you got a big there? Let me kick it out to the 3. No problem whatsoever. By the way, it's going to be the same thing when VJ Edgecombe goes in there. I'm going to be standing here out at the 3, and I'm going to be automatic tonight. 7 and 9 from 3. Are you kidding me? The only dude that had a better 3-point shooting night over the last couple nights was Aaron Gordon. Okay, now I don't know if you caught that act last night, because it was last night. Aaron Gordon was 10 of 12 from 3-point land. He put up a 50 burger on the Golden State Warriors, right? And you go, oh, that's cool. Denver must have whooped they must have just took the Warriors lunch. No, they didn't. You know why? Because Steph Curry is still that dude. Because Gordon had 50, and that's great. But a 50-point game in a loss, because that's exactly what happened. Steph Curry is 2-0 this week. Golden State Warriors are 2-0 this week. They came in to Crypto.com Arena and they put it to the Lakers. And then the Denver Nuggets thought they was cute. They thought their whole situation was sweet. Steph is like, this is the Chase Center, man. This is the Bay. This is where I dwell. And I'm going to hit threes. And by the way, Steph Curry attacked the paint last night like young Steph. Like this was like 27-year-old Steph in his bag. He got to the rim on so many occasions. And why is that possible? Because Jimmy Butler is a complete basketball player. Not only did he get to the free throw line way too much, like 17 times, he also orchestrated the offense and allowed Steph to be who he needed to be. So Steph scores 42, Jimmy chips in with 26, and the Golden State Warriors win by 6 in a thriller against the Denver Nuggets. And that was literally the Aaron Gordon's 3-point performance is the only performance that's better than Tyrese Maxey's the other night against the Boston Celtics. And I needed to bring that up. And you'll say, well, Vince, why did you need to bring that up? Because, hey, Philly beats Boston. Boston usually wins on the road in the fourth. You know what I'm saying? That's what they usually do. While the MVP face was 1-9, which is Joel Embiid, I'm telling you right now, that dude looked slow, and his left leg, it looked like he was dragging it. And I wonder if we have reached the time of Joel Embiid's career, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic right now, I'm being real serious. I wonder if we reached the point of Joel Embiid's career where he's a role player. And I know 76ers fans don't want to hear that, but does he have the mental capacity to do that? Can he go from star and I get a ton of opportunities to let me help these young fellas reach their potential and in all of what they need to be, and I just be kind of a background player? His willingness to go ahead and do DHOs for VJ Edgecombe was nice. My whole thing is that does Joel Embiid look better as he continues to play? We don't know. We don't think he's going to be playing back-to-backs at all. But it was shocking to see Joel Embiid play the first game of the year. So we're talking about the least wear and tear on your body, and you look like you were haggard. You looked slow. You looked somewhat lethargic out there. And hey, again, way to step up. Tyrese Maxey, way to step up. VJ Edgecombe and Quentin Grimes. Those guys put it in, and they pulled out the win at the TD Garden, which is a place that was kind of a house of horrors for them over like the last 3 years. So, good for them. Now, I want to give you a little scheduling situation so we kind of know where everything is. Now, the next week or so, because we want to kind of flesh out some of the great performances and things of that nature, we're definitely going to do that. Last year, we had segments where we were doing like individual divisions and looking at all the teams in those divisions. We are still going to do stuff like that for sure. It might not come back until December, right? We want to get through the month of November. We want to highlight and celebrate those who are putting in work. We want to talk about some of the rookies and what they're doing and how they're looking. We want to do all that. And then here's the other thing that we want to do is that we got to go ahead and get our NBA draft coverage for 2026. It's never too early. It's never too early to look at the draft. So we will be doing that. So this next month is going to be dedicated to, hey, let's get the season started. Let's see how some of these teams are playing. Let's see how some of these new faces and new places look. And let's celebrate some of the great performances in this league. And along the way, let's start building storylines, right? That's what we are here to do, is go ahead and have that. And also give you some information as it comes along the desk. And hopefully we can do it in a real entertaining manner. So that is what we're going to look like for the next month. And then as we get into December, we'll start breaking down divisions and, you know, maybe we can do conferences and like, oh, who's our top 8 in this conference and whatever the case may be, do power rankings and all of that. So that is our plan for you over the next 40 days right now, right? And then as we get closer and closer to Christmas, you know, we always got something cooking for Christmas. I can't wait to do it again. If you've been around, if you have been a day one, you know we do something real special for Christmas. I will talk about it as we get closer to it. Right now, don't worry about it. Let's just enjoy basketball. Let's not talk about gambling right now. We're going to talk about these teams. We're going to celebrate these players. We're going to talk about these rookies. And we're going to give you some draft stuff. So, with all that being said, the best part of you is you. Surround yourself with people who give you light, insight, joy, and accountability. Appreciate those out loud. That's your real wealth. And if you're still finding your tribe, know this. You got one here with us at FRPC. Until next time, keep your mind sharp, your heart open, and your circle tight. I'm Vince for Soraya. We out. Happy weekend to all. Deuces.